Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today's deck is going to focus around the Zoroark. We're going to be focusing on making use of its Brutal Bash attack. It doesn't seem like all that impressive of an attack, but with the Skyfield Stadium card, its damage caps at a total of 180 HP. Of course, that is with no tool cards being attached to the Zoroark, so that's actually pretty impressive. All we need is the double colors energy, but unfortunately the downfall is that we have to have a fully loaded bench of darkness type Pokemon, so that's a little bit less flexible than those Raichu types of decks, but nonetheless Zoroark is a very impressive Pokemon, especially when we have the Skyfield Stadium card up and running. So Zoroark is going to be the main attacker of our deck. Again, we're going to be mainly focusing on using the Brutal Bash attack. We could potentially make use of the Dark Rush attack from time to time as well, but most likely we're just going to be focusing with the Brutal Bash attack for the most part. Also, if we attach a Silver Bangle onto the Zoroark, it can hit for a massive 210 damage to any of our opponent's EX Pokemon. So that's enough to knock out, say, Pokemon such as the Mega Manectric EX with a single attack. So that's very impressive. Zoroark is indeed going to be the main attacker of our deck. Now we're running some other darkness Pokemon alongside with it. One of those Pokemon is going to be the Yveltal with the Oblivion Wing attack. This will allow us to attach a discarded darkness energy card from our discard pile onto one of our bench Pokemon. So Yveltal is ideally going to be the main attacker until until we're ultimately able to bring out that Zoroark into play. So Yveltal can be nice. It's also quite nice and bulky. I mean, 130 HP, pretty difficult for our opponent to be able to knock out with a single attack. So Yveltal is quite nice with respects to that. We're also going to be running a total of 2 copies of the Darkrai EX. I mean, a lot of our darkness Pokemon have pretty heavy retreat costs. Most of them have 2 energy cards required for them to be able to retreat. With the Darkrai EX on our bench, we'll be able to make use of its Dark Cloak ability so that each of our darkness Pokemon, each of our Pokemon that have any darkness energies attached to them will have absolutely no retreat cost. So Darkrai EX is an incredibly solid and powerful Pokemon as well. So we are running 2 copies of him in our deck just in case one happens to be prized. Some other Pokemon that we are running as well, guys, we're going to be running the Spiritomb with the Sealing Scream ability. This will prevent both ourselves and the opponent from being able to make use of any of their A-Spec cards. I mean, it seems a bit like a counterintuitive Pokemon since we are running an A-Spec card, but you guys would be surprised with respects to how useful it can be. I mean, in case our computer search happens to be in our deck or in the prize cards, or we've already made use of it, then the Spiritomb would prevent the opponent from being able to make use of their A-Spec cards as well. So it's actually a pretty cool Pokemon. We are running a single copy of him, and the very last Pokemon that we are running, guys, is going to be the Absol with the Cursed Eyes ability. This will allow us to move up to 3 damage counters from one of our opponent's active Pokemon and then move it onto their bench Pokemon, or from one of their bench Pokemon move it to another of their bench Pokemon, or from their bench Pokemon onto their active Pokemon. So Cursed Eyes is a very flexible attack, especially if one of our opponent's Pokemon decide to retreat and it has very low HP. Then Absol may just be the Pokemon that allows us to get that free knockout. So it's quite cool. We are running 2 copies of him in our deck. Now let's go and discuss the very important card that allows our deck to function so well, and that is the Skyfield Stadium card. Absolutely necessary, I would say, to run a total of 4 copies of it. We always want to be able to win those Stadium Wars, especially if we happen to be running, say, 3 Skyfield Stadium cards in our deck, for example, and one of them happens to be prized. Well, that's really going to be harmful to us in the long run. So I would highly recommend running a total of 4 Skyfield Stadium cards, guys. That's really the card that allows the Zoroark deck to function so well. Some other cards that we are running in our deck as well, guys. Silver Bangle, I had mentioned it a little bit earlier. This is just to increase the total damage output of our non-EX Pokemon by an additional 30 damage. So it's a little bit better than the Muscle Band. I don't really think we're going to need the Muscle Band for the most part, just because Zoroark can hit for massive amounts of damage, more than enough to knock out the bulk of non-EX Pokemon that we will be encountering. So I've decided to take the route with the Silver Bangle as opposed to the Muscle Band. Again, I had mentioned our A-Spec card a little bit earlier. It is going to be the Computer Search. I feel like we have a very speedy deck, so it's the card that I ultimately decided to stick with. Dowsing Machine would also be very solid. Life Dew, I could also see it being quite helpful in this deck as well. But in our case, guys, we are going to be sticking with the Computer Search. We're also going to be running a single copy of the Professor's Letter. We're not running a whole ton of energy cards, so Professor's Letter can be quite useful just to allow us to grab onto any of the Darkness energy cards from our deck and then put them into our hand. We're going to be running a total of 2 copies of the Sacred Ash. This is a pretty useful card just because we're probably going to get a couple of our Darkness Pokemon into the discard pile, especially if we have a fully loaded bench, for example, and then the opponent gets rid of the Skyfield Stadium card, well, we can then make use of the Sacred Ash and then get those discarded Darkness Pokemon back into our deck, and then hopefully bring him out at play all over again. So we are running a total of 2 copies of the Sacred Ash. Very, very useful card, guys. So I would highly recommend including it in your own deck build if you are going to be running a Zoroark or possibly even a Raichu type of deck. The other cards in our deck, guys, are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm going to be going through them relatively quickly. We're running a single copy of the Starling Megaphone. Not really going to be discussing it. This is just for us to be able to deal with those Garbodor type decks. A single switch to allow us to switch in between our Pokemon. 4 Ultra Balls will allow us to grab onto any of the Pokemon that we need. 3 VS Seekers to reuse any of our supporter cards. 2 Colruses, 4 Ends, and 4 Junipers for some draw support. 2 Lysanders to lure out any of our opponent's benched Pokemon. 2 Wallies, allowing the Zorua to evolve into the Zoroark right away. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Also a total of 10 energy cards. 6 of them are the Darkness Energy and 4 of them are the Double Colorless Energy. So with that being said, we're going to go and find ourselves an opponent, guys. I have to say that I've been quite impressed with this deck. I have been making some tweaks here and there, but I feel like it's a very powerful performing deck for the most part. Alright, so I think the opponent is going to be running a Primal Groudon EX deck, so hopefully we can get rid of the opponent's Pokemon nice and early. I mean, they're only going to be able to take a single prize card for the most part each time they do knock out our Pokemon, with the only exception being the Darkrai EX, so we should possibly be a little bit careful just because most of our Pokemon do have the fighting weakness, so it's not exactly the best sort of matchup for us. Alright, so it looks like we're going to see the Landorus EX. I was a little bit confused maybe by the sleeves that the opponent was running. We could also see a Primal Groudon EX coming out as well, but quite possibly it could just be a Landorus EX and Crobat type of deck. The opponent is going to use the and get us some new cards in their hand. We're seeing the Shaman EX, the Hawlucha, yeah, so I don't really think we're going to be seeing the, sorry, what was it called? The Landorus EX. Alright, so let's go and attach a Darkness Energy card onto the Yveltal, a Silver Bangle as well. Unfortunately, we're going to have to resort to using the Juniper, but that's okay. We do have 2 copies of the Sacred Ash, so we should be able to recycle those Zoroarks and put them back into our deck. Let's go and bring out an Yveltal for the time being. And we don't have any Darkness Energy cards in the discard pile yet, so I think I'm gonna hold off on the Ultra Ball for the time being. Let's go and use the Oblivion Wing, hit our opponent's Landorus EX for 60 damage, and that is unfortunately going to be it. If the opponent's Landorus EX does attack us, currently it's only able to hit us for a mere 50 damage, so I don't foresee our Yveltal as getting knocked out. We're seeing another energy card, the Silent Lab Stadium card, which will be shutting down our basic Pokemon special abilities. Landorus hitting both of our Yveltals for 30 damage each. Let's actually bring out the Spiritomb, prevent both ourselves and the opponent from being able to make use of our E-Spec cards. I'm gonna go and lay down the Skyfield Stadium card as well, guys. And then I'm gonna go and use the Ultra Ball, get rid of the Skyfield Stadium card from our hand, and the Lysander as well to finally bring out our Zoruas. I would like to be able to set them up, so let's go and attach a Double Colorless Energy to one of our Zoruas. Use that N to get some new cards in our hand. Let's go and lay down another Zorua, guys. I'm gonna hold off on the Absols for now, but I could bring them out and manipulate those energy cards. So let's go and, sorry, those damage counters. Let's go and use the Oblivion Wing, hit our opponent's Landorus for 60 damage, and that's gonna be the end of our turn. I'm assuming the opponent is probably gonna try to start picking off our Zoruas, just because they are going to be the main Pokemon that we will be attacking with. That Landorus EX could potentially be making use of its Land Judgment attack. Now we are seeing the Colress. I think the opponent is probably going to try and get rid of our Yveltal with a single attack, but we should be able to get rid of their Landorus EX as well during our next turn. So again, I'm going to hold off on the Absols. Maybe I should actually bring them out. I mean, I could use them to knock out the opponent's Zubat. Alright, so I'm just going to be doing a little bit of calculations in my head just to see if things are going to work out. I mean, I need to be able to hit our opponent's Landorus EX for a total of 120 damage. Yeah, so we'll definitely be able to get rid of it. Alright, so I'm going to go and make use of the Absols, guys, to get rid of the opponent's Zubat. So let's go and bring out one Absol and move those damage counters onto the Zubat. Let's go and bring out another one of our Absols, and then we're going to go and get the knockout. So let's go and knock out that Zubat, draw onto our very first prize card. I'm going to go and attach another double colorless energy to one of our Zoruas. Currently the Zoroark can already hit for 120 damage, so I'm going to hold off on the Silver Bangle for now. Let's go and use that colorless to get some new Pokemon. I'm going to go and lay down a Zorua. I don't think we're really going to be using the Darkrai EX all that much, guys, just because the opponent is running a whole ton of fighting Pokemon, so I don't think it would be all that wise. So let's go and use the Brutal Bash attack, knock out our opponent's Landorus EX, and then draw onto two of our prize cards. Alright, so things are looking very, very good for us right now. And yeah, so it looks like the opponent is going to have a bit of a difficult time. If the opponent does get rid of our Skyfield Stadium card, I'm probably going to discard the Yveltal just because it is a little bit damaged. And the opponent may be able to pick it off a little bit easier using his Landorus EXs. We're seeing the N. That's going to reduce the number of cards in our hand to a single one. The Focus Sash getting latched onto the Lucario EX. And okay, so it looks like there was indeed a Groudon EX that the opponent was running. Let's load up our bench a little bit more. So I'm going to go and bring out the Yveltal. So all we need is another Pokemon, and then we should be able to, actually no, we are seeing the Focus Sash, so we'll also need the Startling Megaphone to get rid of our opponent's Lucario EX. I could use the VS Seeker though to lure out the opponent's Shaman EX, for example, and then perform a knockout on him. You know what, I think that's what I'm gonna do, guys. So let's go and bring out the Lysander, lure out the opponent's Shaman EX, and then use the Brutal Bash for 130 damage, I believe. Sorry, 160 damage. I forgot about the weakness and sorry, the resistance, and then let's go and draw onto two of our prize cards. Sorry, I don't know what I was really saying there. I mean, the opponent's Shaman EX has fighting resistance, so absolutely no idea what I was thinking when I said that. We're seeing the Ultra Ball, possibly. Alright, so it looks like it is going to be another Landorus EX with the Strong Energy getting attached to the Colress, allowing the opponent to draw onto a whole ton of cards in their hand. Landorus EX is going to come out as our opponent's active Pokemon. I think we should be able to win, guys. Alright, so we're seeing the Silent Lab, so we're gonna have to discard some of our Pokemon cards. Let's go and get rid of the Yveltal. We do have the Computer Search in our hand, so I think we can go and get rid of the Spiritomb as well. Silent Lab is going to come into play. I think I'm gonna bring out the Zorua as our active Pokemon, possibly the Yveltal as well. I'm not entirely sure. I want to take a look and see what we're able to draw into next, guys. We have three of our Zoroarks. Sorry, two of our Zoroarks into the discard pile. That is a third one now, with the opponent being able to knock out our Zoroark. So I think I'm gonna bring out the Yveltal for now. Yeah, so let's go and bring out the Yveltal for the time being. I'm gonna go and attach the Darkness Energy card onto the Yveltal. I'm gonna go and use the Computer Search, get rid of the Darkrai EX and the Professor Juniper from our hand. I think now would be a good time for us to make use of the Sacred Ash and recycle some of those Pokemon back into our deck. So let's go and get Zoroark, a Zorua, another Zoroark, Zoroark once again, and Spiritomb I think would be a pretty good option as well. Actually, let's stick with the Yveltal for now. Alright, and then let's go and use that Juniper to get some new cards in our hand. I could use this Startling Megaphone, but I think I'm going to hold off on it for now. I'm going to go and attach the Silver Bangle onto the Yveltal. We should have some Darkness Energy cards in the discard pile. Awesome, looks like we have one. So I'm going to go and attack with the Oblivion Wing, hit our opponent's Landorus for 60 damage, look for that Darkness Energy card, and then latch it onto the Zorua. Hopefully we're able to win during the next turn, guys, but I'm not entirely sure how things are going to end up. If our opponent picks off our Zoruas early enough, alright, we're seeing the Lysander, so the opponent's going to drag out our Absol as our active Pokemon, probably going to knock out one of our Zoruas as well. So Absol unfortunately does have that fighting weakness, so very easy for our opponent's Landorus EX to knock out, and a Zorua as well. I think I'm going to go and bring out this Zorua as our active Pokemon. Guys, let's go and use the Startling Megaphone to get rid of all those tool type attachments to all of our opponent's Pokemon. I'm going to go and attach another Darkness Energy card onto the Yveltal. Let's go and use that VS Seeker to grab onto, would I be able to win this turn? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go and stick with the Colress, guys. I don't really want to discard all those ends from our hand. They could be a little bit useful later on. Same goes for the Lysander. So let's go and use that Colress, get some new cards in our hand. Okay, so we do have the Ultra Ball. Zorua again, currently lacking a little bit of damage output. So I don't think we should be able to knock out our opponent's Landorus EX with a single attack. I'm just trying to do the math right now, guys. We could hit it for 80 damage. Yeah, so unfortunately it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. I'm going to go and use the Ultra Ball to get rid of two cards in our hand. I'm not really sure what those cards should be. I mean, I could get rid of the Darkrai EX, but I Yeah, so let's go and get rid of the Darker EX for sure. I think that's a no-brainer right there. The Professor's Letter as well. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go and get rid of the Professor's Letter as well. Let's go and grab onto a Zoroark, guys, and then bring it out as our active Pokemon. Let's go and use the Brutal Bash to hit our opponent's Landorus EX for 60 damage, and then that's gonna be the end of our turn. We should hopefully be able to win during the next turn, unless the opponent is somehow able to knock out two of our Pokemon, which I don't really think he's gonna be able to. He could also use the N. Just to reduce the number of cards in both of our hands, which is very much so a possibility. We are seeing the VS Seeker, so yeah, I think we're probably going to see the end, guys, coming out. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be a Colress, so we should be able to win during the next turn just by bringing out the Yveltal as our active Pokemon. Again, I don't think our opponent will be able to knock out two of our Pokemon. So this was just an incredibly close game, guys. So yeah, it tended to work out. I mean, it just... Such a close game. Again, that fighting weakness really worked against us, but it's okay. We were able to overcome the opponent in the end. So let's go and attach that Darkness Energy card. Use the... Okay, so it looks like the opponent is going to quit. I mean, we would have been able to win anyways if I used the Oblivion Wing attack. But yeah, so I think that is going to be it, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.